Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LSU Environmental Engineering virtual event. My name is Andy Osborne. I'm the Recruiting and Outreach Manager for the College of Engineering. Tonight's event is going to be focused specifically on environmental engineering, so you'll get a lot of detailed information about the actual degree and about the department and some of the extracurricular and special engagement activities that they're involved in. You'll be hearing a lot from Dr. John Pardue, who will be leading most of the content of the session and is also the undergraduate advisor and coordinator for the program. I did want to encourage you all to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat box, so that we can get to know who you are, maybe where you're coming from as far as hometown goes, and any special interests within environmental engineering or just kind of College of Engineering type activities in general. That will really help us be able to get you the information that you need if we know a little bit more about you and what your interests are. Also, please feel free to ask questions throughout the session and the event. That will help us be able to get you the information that you need, make it a little bit more engaging for you, if we can kind of have a little bit of a back and forth and start to really connect with you as you are getting here in the next couple weeks as a full LSU College of Engineering student. So I also like to always just say that it's an exciting time for us at the college, because we work with you throughout this whole process, and it's always nice to see those of you that have made it all the way through and are really excited to be joining the College of Engineering in just a few weeks. So, we're excited. We hope you are too, and we hope that this will be a super helpful event for you. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. John Pardue to begin the content.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Well, welcome everybody. Normally, when we do these events, we're face-to-face. So I generally, during the summertime, have a chance to speak to everybody when they come through for advising. And so typically you would go through a whole day kind of touring around campus and doing different things, which you may have already had a chance to do otherwise. And I'm kind of the last hour of that to kind of show you what classes to take and then answer questions for you. So this is a little different timing. We're now remotely doing this, and again, hopefully you guys can see a little bit more about what's going on. I'm going to start with kind of an intro to what environmental engineering is, talk about kind of a typical path where people end up and what they do during their time in environmental. And then at about 5, we're going to have some other folks kind of chiming in. Some of the students who are in charge of our student organization are going to come in and talk to us. Maybe some of the additional professors have all been invited to come in and talk. So you'll get to see a few more faces of people that are coming in terms of what they're doing and what's going on. So I'm looking to see where people are from. Chris and Ruth are both from Louisiana, Baton Rouge and Slidell. Richard's from Gonzales, and fantastic. Yeah, thank you guys for chiming in and letting me know kind of who I'm talking with and where we're going. I'll give you kind of an intro again. We'll talk about classes first before everybody else jumps in, because that's kind of my area where I can help you. I think make sure you're signed up for the right stuff. And then we'll talk about student life, all the things we have going on and what typical that looks like for what's happening and some exciting programs that we have. And then throughout, you can ask any question you want. I can answer anything that you have on any of these aspects, and hopefully you'll do that. Well, in a nutshell, this is what our group looks like. We're one of the smaller majors in engineering, and so we're about between 30 and 40 people. We are about half guys and half girls, which is unusual for engineering. There are about 75 or so environmental engineering programs in the U.S. So Alabama just added, Michigan added, Ohio State is added recently. And so we are the only one in the kind of the southern Gulf Coast area. So the closest one to the east after Alabama is University of Florida, and to the west, there's a little campus at Texas A&M Kingsville in Texas that has an environmental engineering program. So we not only have Louisiana students, but we have students from Mississippi, from Arkansas, from South Carolina, from Kentucky, who don't have an environmental engineering program in their country, in their state, so they can come to LSU without paying out-of-state tuition. So you're going to meet a little bit different. You're going to have a lot of Louisiana students, but you're going to have also students from elsewhere in the South or other places in the country that are there. This picture was taken in White Sands National Monument in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Every year we compete as seniors in the work environmental design competition in Las Cruces, and White Sands is nearby, and we take a trip over there and do some fun things while we're there. So this is your capstone design experience, and ours is a very special one. We travel and we go and compete against other schools on a typical environmental topic, and I'll go over with you kind of what that is. But because the group is smaller, they tend to be really tight with each other. I think they have a good, the group kind of goes through, step by step in their classes, and I think you're going to like. It's different, and I think it's a smaller kind of college feel because of the size of the program, which I think has a lot of benefits to it. Environmental is a couple of different definitions here, but it's the branch of engineering that's concerned with protecting people from all the effects of adverse environmental effects, such as pollution, and we have a lot of say in improving environmental quality. And so we work on things like recycling, waste disposal, public health, water and air pollution control, and it's a fast-growing field. It's one of the majors that is fastest growing in terms of areas of engineering. A lot of the guys and girls who did it originally are retiring, and so there's a lot of opening and a lot of opportunity. You'll see that in a minute when I show you where we place some of our students. So we're the only accredited program on the Central Gulf Coast. It's projected to be the fastest growing discipline in engineering over the next decade. So a lot of opportunity. And we work on really some of the most challenging global problems, things like the world water crisis and global climate change, environmental sustainability. And so a lot of our students, when they leave, one of the things they're really positive about on the way out is really that they're going to be working in an area or a field that's beneficial to the planet, beneficial to society. And they're going to make good money, but it's also a situation where they're doing something positive. And so I think that we tend to attract students a lot of times who not only see the opportunity for job advancement and placement, but we also see a real satisfaction with what it is that they're doing in terms of their job. We are one of the least underemployed majors. So what I mean by an underemployed major is somebody who maybe got a degree in something, but now works in a Starbucks or works in a sales job. And so what you're going to see in a minute is our people tend to be working in environmental. So if you don't like it, you need to make sure that this is what's for you, and because generally you're going to be working in this field. There are some options. You can go to law school, and we have never had anybody go to medicine, but certainly it's a good job if you want to go into healthcare as well. So that certainly is not closed off from you, but they tend to be opportunities in the environmental field, and that's where our people work. This is a list of the 18 or 20 people who graduated back 6 years ago. And so these would be people, again, who would be 28, 29 years old, and this is where they work. And again, I haven't excluded anybody off of the list. This is a real list that I keep track of in terms of who's there and what they're doing. And I'll just go down the list to kind of give you a feel. Ashley Barker is out with Geosyntex. She works in Houston and Sacramento, has gone back and forth between those two cities working on projects, and so works for a consulting company. Jeremy Beasley is with Marathon up in Detroit, Michigan. He works in environmental health and safety. Dwayne Balello is here in Baton Rouge working in sales for process pumps and equipment. Ariel Carmichael, she's out in Los Angeles working for the sanitation district of LA County. So she's a civil engineer out there. Wallace Collins is here at Nova in Geismar. Danae Elwood is with Exxon in Baton Rouge. Will Grant and Julian Moore are both with GHD in Baton Rouge. Guy Guino is down in New Orleans with ERM. Lucian is over in Houston with Chevron. Brenton is with Cardno in Baton Rouge as a project engineer. Robin Jones is out in Seattle with the Northwest Clean Air Agency. Ben Pfeiffer is with Dow in Houston. Sarah Taylor LaFleur is her married name now. She's with the Gradient Group in Houston. Danielle Wold is out works at Chevron, but she's out in Santa Barbara, California. She's a project manager of a really interesting project. They're restoring the Guadalupe Dune formation out there in the Guadalupe mountains, and she runs that project for Chevron. Just 6 years out of school. Michael Cheatham is a senior engineer with the RM in New Orleans, and then Laura Patino is the chief of staff for the city of Houston's Recovery and Resilience Office after Hurricane Harvey, and she was elected to, or nominated and won one of the best green employees or personalities under the age of 40 in a recent magazine article. So this is where everybody is. I'm not hiding any names on here. There's not anybody who's not doing this. And you look down the list, you don't see any other jobs. They tend to be all well-paying jobs. They tend to all be kind of contributing to what's going on. You see kind of a mix of girls and guys, and that's kind of where people are. So some people want to be in kind of more of a industry job. Some people like what Laura's doing and what Robin's doing is more on the government side. And then we've had people who go to the Peace Corps, not in this group, but we've had 4 or 5 alums who ended up in the Peace Corps for a couple of years all over the world doing different things. So it's a whole range of jobs. And if I point to Ashley and to Robin on the list, how they ended up in Seattle and maybe Ariel as well in LA is they wanted to live there and they moved there and then found a job. So we have a number of people who want to be somewhere, in the US, and they move out to that location and the jobs are available for them where they can work and make a living out where they want to live. So we've had people at Tucson, we've had people in LA or San Francisco, Seattle. A lot of people want to be in Houston, and we've had people want to be in Thibodaux, Louisiana, because that's where they're from and they want to go back home. And so they're there working. So it's kind of a job where you can kind of figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, and end up there. So that's a list of kind of where people end up and what you'll do in your first class. And hopefully most of you signed up for this eVeg 1050, which is a lab class. And all the faculty will kind of rotate through there and you'll get to know all of us. But we're going to bring some of these folks back. Someone who graduated last year, someone who graduated maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and you'll get to hear what they do. And just in that 1 hour, you'll know, okay, this sounds fun or this doesn't sound like what I want to get into. But yeah, this is in a nutshell. Hopefully you can ask some questions if you have others of what goes on. Here's kind of a typical path before we kind of move on to talk about classes, but this is typically what you would do. So after year 1, which you're about to start, and you go into this next summer, there I would try, if you could, to get an internship at a local environmental engineering firm near where you're going to be living. You can stay here in Baton Rouge and do that, but if you're from Slidell or New Orleans or wherever you're close, I think those internships at a local firm, you can find those names in the phone book, is something that people typically would do. After the second year, you might want to look there at kind of branching out and giving yourself some other opportunities for other things. We have our own study abroad for environmental engineering, and that's in Europe. I run that, and that's we go to the Netherlands for 3 weeks and do a thing on the Dutch flood defenses, and we go to London for 3 weeks and do city kind of environmental and urban environments class, which is fantastic. We didn't get to go this year, obviously, because of the pandemic, but it's something that we're rolling right back out next summer. So you could go next summer, you could go the second summer, and it's a fantastic program. We're really thrilled with how it worked out so far. And so you get credit for 2 classes by going and doing that study abroad program. In the third year, you might start thinking about an internship in environmental engineering, either in a research lab or in a firm nearby that might employ you for 10 or 15 hours a week. Sam Snow, who's one of our faculty members, has been planning a trip to Panama to do global charitable study abroad stuff. And that was going to be over spring break this year, but then got postponed because of the pandemic. So he's taking a team to Panama to help a village there get a clean water source and advance some things that go on there. So that's something that you could take advantage of during your year 3. In the summer, between the 3rd and 4th year, it's really important there to get an internship of some kind, to be working in industry or somewhere to get some experience. And that might follow in year 4 to where you stay with an environmental engineering firm and internship there. You'll, of course, attend the work design competition in your senior year, your 4th year. And then people just go work. Some go to grad school. That list I showed you, probably 3 or 4 of that 18 went on to grad school. Some people go to the Peace Corps. We have one who's in law school now from last year's class. So certainly those are all things that are possible for you to do. And we're going to set you up to be successful in kind of tackling each of those individual kind of things. So that's kind of an introduction. Let me stop there and let me make sure I can see the chat. Is there any questions you guys have just about in general about environmental? Any questions you have about the kind of jobs that you might qualify for, or anything there in terms of what you want to hear me talk about in terms of environmental? Any questions at all? You could unmute and talk to me directly, or you could just type it in the chat. It's up to you in terms of what you want to do.
I was just going to hop on to chime in and say that hopefully as the students can see, the environmental engineering group of students and also you as faculty member and several other faculty are pretty engaged with each other and kind of know what's going on, it seems like, in each other's lives, and the fact that you're able to sort of track and see where they're going after they've graduated. That is definitely something that as somebody that's outside of the department and the program, I would say it's something that I can see, from outside, that there's a really good connection. So that would be something for you students to consider. It's a really positive and great thing that Dr. Pardue knows where all the graduates are going and what they're doing.
Yeah, it helps. It helps if you're from Houston or want to get to Houston. Or last year I had a girl who wanted to get to the Pacific Northwest, and I can put her in touch with people who have been through the same experience they've been through, and I can send them up to talk to these people and have those contacts. And so that's something that's good and positive, I think, and creates a kind of a community that makes it easier for you to get placed in jobs and do other things like that. So okay, well, good. I'll keep watching this, and please chime in if there are questions or things that you want to ask me. Class advising. So let's kind of go over that. I think most of you have gotten your schedule already. The big thing that I do when we get together for class advising is first we pick a math and an English class. Most of you in English will have tested out of 1001, or some of you will have. So this may, we talk about English, many of you won't be in an English class initially. You would be, the other English that you'll have to take as a college student in our program is English 2000, but you can't get into that class until you're a sophomore in hours. So really, if you don't have to take English 1001, you won't have English the first year, which is kind of weird because you've been taking an English class ever since you were in kindergarten. But English is there. Math is, again, probably really confusing to you about kind of why you ended up where you were, whether it's algebra or trig or some combination of algebra and trig, or whether you're ready to go straight into calculus 1, or even some people might even take an AP math and are ready to go into calculus 2. So whatever you've been placed in, particularly for calculus, you've got to go take the ALEX test to be able to take calculus 1550 initially. And so you still, I think, got time to do that. But you're probably coming close to the deadline that if you want to get a math 1550, that you can do that from there. If I flip forward one slide, I want to show you our flow chart. And so that'll give you, again, some idea about kind of what our expectations are in this first year. So while we have math 1550 as a first class, it's totally fine if you start earlier with algebra trig. I mean, there's lots of people on that list who are successfully working as environmental engineers that didn't start in calculus. It's actually pretty rare to start in calculus, actually. And so I wouldn't worry about that too much. I think the real key thing for you to do in terms of the timing of you to get there is to try to hit this first eVeg 2000, this first environmental class next fall. And to do that, you need to have taken calculus, the first calculus, and you also need to have taken both chemistry classes. So those classes and having those classes done, those 3 classes done, it really should be your real focus. So if you had to start off in algebra trig, try to get to math 1550 either next semester or even over the summer, so that you're not behind a year where this first environmental engineering course actually is. All of you are going to be in this intro lab. I hope that none of you have been kind of scheduled out of that in terms of having to take another class, because that class is really critical for you to be able to take that environmental engineering, that second lab class, for you to kind of learn what's going on. Chemistry is also a real key one, the 1201 to take. So make sure that you're in that. And then the biology, we plug that into the first semester, but unless I have a student who really loves biology, I often tend to recommend that they take the geology course the first semester. Geology is a little bit easier than the college biology, and you can just flip the biology to the second semester and do geology first. So that's something that is also there. And then if people want to take a gen ed class, I tend to put them in the art. It's the easiest kind of general education stuff that we do. And it's something as well that I think is going to be positive in terms of having all those things that are there. So that's generally your first semester. I'm trying to look for you to try to be in about 15 hours of time, 5 3-hour classes, or maybe 5 3-hour classes in a lab like the eVeg 1050 class. This class is, we're really getting you to show up. It's not going to be a test or complicated. It's going to be a lot of speakers, and we're really just trying to put you in to learn about environmental engineering. So that's an easy A for you if you show up and do the things that we ask you to do in that class. So questions about, any questions about classes before I let one of the guys in who is going to come in and talk to you about some other stuff as well? Anything at all? Okay, so I'm going to let Logan Dury in. Logan is one of the officers of our student organization that will work with you guys to kind of meet some of the student goals. So I'm gonna let Logan in. I'll let him get connected in, and I'm going to step away for a second. Let Logan talk a little bit about the program and about some of the stuff that we're doing. So Logan, welcome. I've got a number of students who are here. We're also recording this for others who couldn't make it, who are there. And I'm just going to back off, mute myself for a minute, and let you talk about the student organization, and kind of I'll look for the chat, any chat questions about classes. But go ahead, take off. Tell a little about yourself and what's going on with the student organization this year.
All right, thank you. Can you all hear me all right? Is that all right?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
All right, great. Logan Junior, halfway. I only have 2 more to go, so I'm on track right now. Yeah, and right now I'm the secretary for ACES, is the American Academy of Science, Environmental Engineers and Scientists. Full name. Yeah, I'm the secretary. Megan, she's gonna join later about 5:30. She's the president of the club, more than I will, but it's a really good time for freshmen like yourselves, upperclassmen like myself, and juniors and sophomores, even grad students, all meet up with each other either at different events that we put on. So this past year before coronavirus hit, we had a few Chimes nights. Chimes is we went to Chimes on Highland. We went upstairs, had a few appetizers, played a little trivia. Everybody hung around for about an hour and a half. It's a really good time. A few of the professors come as well. So, you could have Dr. Pardue as a teacher, and he may come up, or you don't know all the different professors, but we had Dr. VJ come up one time. You'll have 50, I believe. It's first because of e-veg. It's a good class. That class is gonna be pretty big. A lot of people, and people are gonna be in that class. They're gonna meet. Some people are gonna stay, some people aren't. But some of my closest friends today I've met in that class. So yeah, that's going. But yeah, ACES. So we pretty much we have study nights where we go to the PE, we either get in a room and we have 20, 30 people. It's up to you. And come study together. Right now it's coronavirus. I'm not sure how that's going to work out exactly. But right now, me, Megan, and two of the people who are on the board are playing different events. If we're going to have things in person or things online, and we'll have different like almost tutoring hours to where we can all get in a Zoom call. You can study with other people in your class. We'll organize that stuff. Or if you have any questions for us, that you have any questions at all that you want to ask, just let us know. But yeah, so ACE is gonna be a good time. We're making T-shirts right now. Like I said, we're scheduling everything. We'll be coming into your Zoom calls. So y'all are freshmen coming up. So we'll probably go to the 10:50, like I said, with Dr. VJ, and we'll talk about the club. I'll give us y'all LSU emails so we can push y'all into the system and start receiving emails and be part of environmental engineering with us. Yeah, great degree.
Good. Thanks, Logan.
Yep.
Any questions you guys have about the student org? And this is, again, you saw that list. I showed a list, Logan, a little minute ago before you came on, of everybody who I know from 6 years ago, where they are now. And a lot of it is you get to know the people really well in this major. And so they kind of look out for each other, hire each other. I know at one point we had 4 kids from the same class who worked at the Valero refinery in Dallas.
Really?
Yeah, so it was almost all LSU environmental engineers running the environmental program. So it was tend to get to know the people who, like Logan said, in the group, and those people tend to kind of pop through in terms of kind of getting there. I've kind of gone over with them, Logan, the class stuff in terms of what to take from the first couple of semesters, but anything you remember from the first couple of semesters in the program that you'd want to pass on?
As a tip that anybody's going to give you, freshman, I know physically we don't have class, but and maybe all Zoom calls, she also has this kind of big classes, but go to your Zoom calls. Just a good schedule. I would say go to class, but we can't do. Go to your Zoom calls. It may be rough, maybe it's gonna get you in a good habit of just studying. College is a lot different than high school. Everybody says it really is. So you just have to bite the bullet and adjust to it and go to your Zoom calls and get a good schedule. That's my number one thing. But yeah, y'all, the first semester, it's not hard. English is a breeze. Biology can be a little difficult. I'm not sure they're gonna do the biology lab. Chemistry 1 is pretty just focus. Calc 1, better than it was in high school, of course, but it's doable. And 1050, like I said, that's a great introduction class. It'll show y'all different aspects that we can do in e-veg once you graduate in 4 years. And you meet a lot of people in that class, y'all. So it'd be
good. All right, thanks, Logan. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we added that 1050 class because we want to kind of get you right away hooked into to our program. We don't want you to float around for 3 semesters and we don't see you to the 3rd semester. We end up losing you at that point to some of the majors. So we'd love to have you kind of as you go along and do what we're going to do. Let me flip through while we're waiting on Megan. Logan, you can hang in there or appreciate you stopping in if you want to go. But I've talked to you about kind of a typical first semester schedule. I'm talking about student life a little bit, all the different things that are going on. Logan talked about ACES, the student organization. I showed you a picture of the work design competition. Logan was going with me to study abroad in London and Netherlands, and that got canceled. So he was going to be, actually we would be flying home, I think, last week or maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say, I saw it on my calendar a few days ago, so he brought ended.
Yeah, I know. See, I was depressed the whole month of
Yeah.
June and July because I would have been over there kind of working with you guys. Dr. Snow may pop in a minute, talk about Panama, but I want to first emphasize that we got environmental engineers that are in the honors college. We've got environmental engineers that are in Greek life, that are in fraternities and sororities. Not everybody is, so it's kind of a mix. We got environmental engineers that are LSU athletes that play intramurals. So it's you can do all the things at LSU that make it a cool place to go to school. But it is a major that you're going to get to know everybody and kind of do things in terms of what's there. This work contest is really cool, and we've been doing this for about the contest has been around for about 30 years. We've been doing it for about 21 or 22 years at LSU, and you kind of work together. This is one of the teams from a couple of years ago that won an award, but you kind of work together all year for 2 semesters. This team actually worked on a project in New Orleans where we were trying to take abandoned properties and turn those into bioswales, or places where stormwater, when it rains, the pollution that runs off from the roads can cause problems where that water ends up. So these guys designed a system that would capture that water onto an abandoned lot in New Orleans. And they went down and worked with some community groups in New Orleans and did a lot of things that were there. But, a typical project might be, a task that says, hey, we're going to design a drinking water treatment system for a town in the desert of Arizona that's only powered by wind, and so you have to sit through and do all the design with that. You work with a team like the one you see in front of you, and you go into this competition and you compete against other schools, that are doing the same task. This group won an award last year, and they were working on trying to remove phosphorus from water that was coming from these CAFOs, these big agricultural operations where they were growing really dense and huge amounts of cows on one certain property. So these folks are all gainfully employed as environmental engineers doing different things now across the U.S., but they had a really good project and a good team. So we go to this contest. You have a paper, a poster, you give an oral presentation as a group, and then you build a little bench scale model of what you're doing, and you come around, and the judges come around and look at what you've done relative to what everybody else has done. We've won about 50 awards over the years. We've won 4 or 5 awards last year, 4 or 5 awards of the year before. So we're pretty good at this, and I think it's a great experience for you guys to go to a national award, national competition, compete against other universities. And, when you walk away with that award, that shows up on your resume forever, and that really opens the doors for a lot of jobs. And that's something that we're going to help you do, and as well as being a fun place to go visit in terms of what goes on. This is that team that I just showed you that we just put the trophies in the trophy cabinet a few days ago that was there. We do have a chance as well to do a lot of other stuff. We go to White Sands, which is a really unique kind of a geological formation that's out in the desert. It's a gypsum sand dune. So all of what you're seeing there is not sand, but it's actually gypsum calcium sulfate. And that's some weird properties that you can jump off a cliff of it. That's a dune, and you can land. It's almost like landing in sugar or powder. And so we hang out there for a night and do a picnic and do some other stuff. We've been doing that for a number of years. Really cool pictures at sunset. It's a really unique place. We also go on a couple of hikes in the Apache Mountains that are out there in Las Cruces, as well as meeting kind of people from all over the country who do environmental engineering, a lot of other students, groups who are there. So that's a big kind of event. Logan mentioned the study abroad that we started last year in London and Rotterdam. We had a number of environmental engineering students from both LSU and Rice University in Texas. So we do this jointly with Rice University. They have a lot in common with us. I know the department chair there. We've been friends for 30 or 40 years. And so we planned this together. His team handles the Netherlands side, and this these pictures are from the London side that I handle. And a lot of these folks are seniors or juniors in the program, and you'll get to see them this year. London was a place kind of where we kind of figured out how to live in a city without it being miserable. And environmental engineers had a huge part to play in that. And so we get to go around London. It's a great place to live in the summer. There's music festivals, all kind of stuff going on in London all the time in the summer, and it's not too hot there. It's a great place to take a class, and so we spend a lot of time going on field trips, but also on we have some classroom time as well. And but you'll have a lot of time to explore around the city and get to know the city really well for 3 weeks that are there. This is one of the oldest pump stations that was ever designed, and a gorgeous old Victorian building that we get to go see and talk about, as well as some of the first tunneling attempts. This is a tunnel that went under the Thames River, and one of the first engineering kind of digging operations. So we get to go kind of see that, as well as kind of exploring around the river and kind of seeing what's going on there with what's happening. So that's a great program. I've already been on the phone with the guys for hoping that the health situation is going to be better, and we'll be able to pop right back into that next summer. And so that'll be an opportunity you guys have to kind of look at. This is the Thames Barrier, which is one of the storm surge barriers, the biggest storm surge barriers in the world, and you'll get to see that as part of this program as well. This is the staff of the faculty and the students who were involved last time in terms of teaching the classes. So you get to know them if you go in the program. So that's kind of the part that's there in terms of you going in and having these opportunities on the outside to take part in something outside of class, but something that adds to your program in terms of what's there. The other things that were on that list, let me go back to that and talk it through. I talked it through study abroad. One of the things that people do, and you've heard about Engineers Without Borders, and you've heard about Amigos for Christ, a couple of other programs that are water-based charitable organizations. And Sam Snow, who couldn't join, I think, tonight, but has organized this for our department, has been working on how do we get you guys involved with those programs. You don't have to go to the Peace Corps to do this stuff. You can do it on your vacation. You can do it on maybe your job gives you a week off to go participate in one of these programs. But you're going to learn as environmental engineers some skills that are very, very helpful in sort of, there are people around the world who could benefit from what you know. And so the idea with the study abroad in Panama is getting you to take the class knowledge that you have and go deploy it in an area that really needs your help to deliver, in this case, clean water to a village that was in Panama. Sam has also won an award to a grant from the National Science Foundation to take some students to Montpellier, France for research for the summer. He talked about that when he joined us last time, and that program, I think, as well, is something that you guys would have the ability to be part of as well when you come on the class. So the other faculty members that we have, Bill Mo and Xuping Zhu, are also very engaged with undergrads. They have undergrads that work in their labs like I do, and you'll have an opportunity to meet them, get involved in their programs, and do things with them as well in terms of what's going on. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of student life. I know some of the people may be joining us, maybe a couple of the students joining us for questions, but any questions you have about what it's like, what you can do to get involved, this is your chance to have us answer them. So please chime in, and if there's anything that you need us to answer before we go. I'm also here, of course, to answer class questions for you about, can I switch classes? Can I, is this a good time? Is this, anything like that? I'm the guy who can help you kind of pick something if you have questions there as well. So anything at all, I'd be happy to answer those questions for you.
As well as any sort of general questions too, just about the start of your college career transition. I can also mention here that we do have one more virtual event being offered by the college that's going to be next week on Wednesday night. That's going to be about time management and study skills. So I can actually just go pull the link for that and put that in the chat here soon. But if that is something that you're thinking about transitioning from high school to college, specifically within the College of Engineering, that would be a fantastic event to go to. We'll have representatives from the College of Engineering as well as the Center for Academic Success, which is a pretty well-known center that helps students with study skills and learning styles and things like that, really across the nation. So that's something that could be super helpful to you if you're just kind of wanting to be proactive, set yourself up as best you can for success. So I will send that here soon. And you'll just let us know if you do have any questions. I know it looks like at least one of you is pretty good with information. But send in the questions you have. If you don't have any, I think we've reached most of the end of the content you've prepared, correct, Dr. Purdue?
Yes, I'm out of slides. I'm just here for Q&A, and I'll hang around for a bit if you guys want to talk or answer questions while we're coming in. So yeah. Again, we're a few weeks away from getting started. I think there's still some uncertainty about, I know you're looking at the TV and thinking, are we going remotely? Are we going in person? All those things will sort themselves out. So I wouldn't worry about any of that. It's still going to be a fantastic time that you're going to have here. And I think we're going to make the best possible program we can for you, regardless of the mode that we're delivering classes in this first semester. So yeah. Please feel free to answer any questions. I'm going to type my email into the chat if you want to write that down. So anything that comes up, even later on, if your parents have a question, if you have a question about classes, please shoot me a note, shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the program or where people end up or anything as well. So with that, that's really all we have. So if you don't have any questions and you're good to go, you're certainly welcome to log out, and we'll see you soon, a couple of weeks. So it won't be long. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're satisfied, go ahead and log out. And just wanted to say we're glad you're here as well, and we're excited to have you joining us. So welcome.